Masthan Swami. Masthan Swami was a staunch Muslim. His parents, who observed all the religious codes, rituals, and disciplines rigorously, brought Masthan Swami up in the same manner. Even as a child of 8 years, Masthan would enter into samadhi without knowing what it was. He had the natural ability to be detached from people and things from childhood. This remarkable devotee followed all the Islamic injunctions and was very much devoted to Allah and the Prophet Muhammad. His natural inclination towards the samadhi experience coaxed him to start reading and picking up Tamil. Soon he was studying books like the Kavalya Navanitam and the Sukar Vastistam. The simple Tamil poems of the 19th century Sufi mystic Gunagudi Masthan, which are Vedantic in nature, were also a powerful influence. But though Masthan Swami participated in Muslim festivals like the Ramzan, his mind and heart were tuned to the inner self, going into samadhi, and reading and singing Thayanumavar's songs. Thayumanavar's songs were extolled by Bhagavan because they dealt purely with the truth. Other saints have brought in Shiva and other gods, but Thayumanavar stuck to the teaching of going into silence, and Masthan Swami was well versed in that. In 1914, Masthan Swami lived in Desur, a village 40 miles away from Tiruvannamalai, and where Desur Amal hailed. Being two of the only people in that village who shared a similar spiritual madness, the two became friends. One day she told him, "Masthan Swami, you must meet my guru." She then brought him to Bhagavan in Virupaksha cave. Masthan, a staunch and devoted follower of Islam, describes his first darshan of Bhagavan this way. He was seated like a rock. His unswerving gaze was filled with grace, compassion, and steady wisdom. I stood by his side. After giving me a look, he opened the gate of my heart, and I was also established in his state in the very first encounter. Just one look from Bhagavan, and I stood like that for 8 hours, absolutely without fatigue, and filled with total absorption and peace. In those days at Virupaksha cave, Bhagavan would open our heart with a single gracious look, and we would be transformed. There was no need for any questions, since by his look, he made us like himself. What a wonderful man Masthan was. On this very first encounter itself, he took Bhagavan as his guru. He had already read about the qualifications and marks of a guru. He could see that seated in the front of him in human form was not only his guru, but God as well. When he returned, Masthan Swami experienced some conflict within himself. Until then, his master had been the Prophet Muhammad. Though Allah was God, and Prophet Muhammad was his guru, here was a living guru, Ramana Maharshi. And he thought, am I disloyal to my other guru, the Prophet Muhammad? He wondered this. He was filled with Bhagavan's presence, but as he was brought up in the Islamic tradition, he had this feeling that said, am I brushing aside my master Muhammad because he is no more in the body? Fortunately, he was bold enough to go to Bhagavan and confess, saying, Bhagavan, this is my problem. Please help me. Bhagavan looked at him for some time. Bhagavan was never interested in the question. Instead, Bhagavan was always interested in the questioner. He looked at Masthan Swami and, showering all his grace, replied, do you take this body to be Bhagavan? Do you think the prophet is dead? Then is the Buddha also dead? Is Jesus Christ dead? Are they not guiding hundreds of thousands of people even today? Are they not living in the heart? A living guru means the one living in one's heart as a guru. A living guru does not mean somebody living in a body at a given historical time and in a given geographical space. The guru lives eternally in your heart. So heart is Allah. The heart is Jesus Christ and the Buddha, and heart is Bhagavan. Live in the heart as the heart by diving into the heart. These words from Masthan were recounted to me by Vishwanatha Swami. I could not grasp them immediately, so I requested him, please explain it so that I can understand. And he said, the Guru is always timeless. To talk of the Guru in time, you bring in death, birth, living, all of this. There is only the Guru principle, which is the heart of every one of us. But I said, but Swami, how do you say this? And he replied, a devotee once came from Lahore. Tiruvannamalai and Lahore are more than 1,000 miles apart. In the 1930s and 40s, travel was very difficult in India. He could only stay for a month or so. When he was to leave, he wept before Bhagavan, saying, how can I leave you and go, Bhagavan? And Bhagavan told him, where are you going? Can you go away from Bhagavan? Bhagavan is always with you. Bhagavan is in you. In fact, you yourself are Bhagavan. See the beauty of the answer. When Bhagavan says you yourself are Bhagavan, how can a Ganesan or a Vishwanathan be Bhagavan? It is the I am in Vishwanathan and Ganesan that is Bhagavan. The living master is always in the heart as awareness. This awareness that is in you, in me, and in every one of us is Arunachala Ramana, God, self, heart, Allah, Jesus, and the Buddha, We can give it any name. Masthan Swami was a multifaceted personality. He was a weaver. It was said of him that he was the Kabir of Bhagavan. He was totally devoted to the Master, just as Kabir was devoted to his. He began coming regularly to Bhagavan. He relinquished weaving as a profession and wove only to make loincloth and towels for Bhagavan. Being a total ascetic, he never married. He begged in the streets of his own village. When he came to Tiruvannamalai, he would often come with Dasura Ammal. Dasura Ammal had money and brought lots of food because she wanted to feed Bhagavan. Masthan Swami would carry the rice and dal on his head and walk the long distance from Dasur happily. It was not a burden for him because he was going to meet his master. At Arunachala too, he would beg for alms. Masthan had many conversations with Bhagavan. Of one such conversation, Masthan Swami recounts in these words. Once, while I was on my way to see Bhagavan, I prayed for his grace. On arrival at Virupaksha cave, he asked me, "Do you like Saguna Upasana, that is, worship on God with form? Or do you prefer Nirguna Upasana, worship of the formless God?" And I replied, "I choose Nirguna Upasana." Bhagavan then gave me this beautiful instruction, saying, "Fix the mind in your heart. If you keep your attention on the source from where all thoughts arise, the mind will subside there at the source and reality will shine forth." Though I have come across similar teachings in other books, these words of wisdom coming in the holy voice of my Guru penetrated my heart and implanted themselves as the way for me. After this meeting with Bhagavan, I had no further doubts about this. In fact, no doubts arose at all after this. Bhagavan thus guided him to be established in the heart. Many a time Masthan Swami went around the hill with Bhagavan. Once, when he was divinely intoxicated, Bhagavan asked him to sing songs of the Sufi saint Gunagudi Masthan. Bhagavan loved those songs. Masthan said, "I sang in the highest voice because it was my master who made the request." Another interesting incident Masthan relates is about Bhagavan and a large golden-colored mongoose. That it was golden-colored was very unusual, considering that these shy creatures are normally gray in color. It was the Karthikai Deepam festival. Hundreds of people were climbing up to the hill. Running through the crowds, this mongoose went into Virupaksha cave. It began searching every nook and corner of the cave. At that time, Palani Swami was not there, as he was taking a bath in a nearby stream. Not finding Bhagavan inside, the mongoose went outside and licked Palani Swami's feet. Then it started climbing up further to Skanda Ashram, where Bhagavan was. On reaching Skanda Ashram, the mongoose fearlessly jumped onto Bhagavan's lap and sat gazing at him. Bhagavan caressed it and looked at it, pouring his grace. The ashram was crowded, and the only attendant present was Masthan Swami. He took care that the creature didn't get hurt and didn't hurt the peacocks there. Wherever the mongoose went, he followed it, and after a while it disappeared. When the ashram manager, Perumal Swami, returned, Masthan related what had happened, and Perumal Swami said, "You should have caught that mongoose and kept it tied down here." Bhagavan smiled at them. "Can you catch him? Can you tie him down? He is a Siddha Purusha." Arunachala is home to many Siddha Purushas. One of them wanted to come and spend some time here, so he came here. During Bhagavan's lifetime, some of the serious seekers were living in the Palakotu Sadhu community, a grove of jackfruit trees near the ashram. Sometimes they would decide to go to other towns to beg and sing praises of Bhagavan. Whenever they went to Bhagavan to get his permission for doing so, Bhagavan would inquire, "Where are you going? Where will you stay?" They would reply, "Bhagavan, we are not concerned about that. We are going to lead the lives of sadhus, begging for food and staying without shelters." Bhagavan would not be very happy about this until they said, "We shall inform Masthan Swami about where we plan to go." This was because Masthan Swami would then go after them, give them food, or beg for them, and make them take rest. They would go to Pulur, Dasur, Chengam, or Gingi, all within a radius of 30 or 40 miles. Masthan Swami would follow them or go ahead, wait on them, and serve them, saying, "I am the devotee of devotees," and he would say it in the most genuine way. They would ask him, "Masthan Swami, you serve us so well. What can we do for you?" "You can do one thing for me," he would reply. "Narrate to me without omitting a single word whatever our master spoke in my absence." That was the only reward this devotee wanted. Masthan Swami was very humble. Bhagavan himself said that except for Kunju Swami and Vishwanatha Swami, no other devotee knew who Masthan Swami was. He preferred to remain unobserved. The words humble, devoted, and pious aptly describe him. Once, a robbery took place in the old hall at Ramanasramam, while Bhagavan, Masthan Swami, and some others were present. There was no reaction from Masthan Swami. The one sadhu actually took a crowbar to hit the robbers. Bhagavan stopped him and said, "We are all sadhus. Our duty is to keep quiet. The robber's duty is to rob. Let us follow our dharma. Let them follow theirs." When Masthan Swami became ill, he moved from his village to another village because he did not want to give anyone trouble. Rarely did Bhagavan go out of his way for anybody, but in this case, Bhagavan called Dasura Mal and said, "Wherever Masthan Swami goes, be with him and look after him." I have rarely heard of Bhagavan giving this kind of instruction for the sake of any other devotee. Masthan Swami's last days were very beautiful. After he dropped his body, Dasura Mal came to Bhagavan and narrated the events. saying, Bhagavan, in his last days, we thought he was in delirium. He was saying, Nandi has descended, and Shiva's celestial devotees, the Bhutaganas, are dancing. They are saying, Masthan, come, come, come to us. And she continued with her story. Perhaps he was blabbering in his delirium. But Bhagavan, in his last moment, he stood up. It was absolutely impossible for him to stand up in that state. But he stood up and then with tears in his eyes said, Apitha Kuchambai has come to receive me. I am going, Dasuramal. And he dropped dead. On hearing this, Bhagavan commented, maybe the Universal Mother personally came to take him. All his descriptions tally with the world of Shiva described in the Puranas. Masthan Swami was an unassuming devotee. He had a wealth of hidden spiritual experiences. Not only did Bhagavan extol Masthan Swami, the Master thanked Dasuramal as well, saying, it is a matter of gratification that he passed away in your care, under your supervision. But he did not stop there. After this, Bhagavan picked up a copy of the 2,500-year-old Tamil book, the Tirumandaram. In it are instructions on how a realized being's dead body should be buried. Bhagavan marked those pages and passages and sketched out how the tomb had to be built and the body entombed with sacred ash, camphor, and other ingredients. Following these clear instructions, the samadhi was built. The whole village turned out that day despite a pouring rain. The local temple, even though it was a simple one, gave the temple chariot in which God's image was carried to carry the corpse of a Muslim. Most Hindus can feel the profundity of this. On that day, the rain was so heavy that the water was up to hip level. Amidst chanting, the body was carried into the samadhi, built according to Bhagavan's instructions. It is said that whoever goes there and offers prayers at the samadhi has his wishes granted. Let us offer our salutations to one of the most beautiful devotees of Bhagavan. Masthan Swami was the simplest soul one could meet, but Bhagavan paid the highest tribute to him. He said that of all the people who came to him, Masthan was the ripest. One look and the fruit fell. Masthan Swami had a disciple named Sambandam, from whose notebook these details were gathered. Sambandam has written a song about his master, Masthan Swami, that goes like this. O Masthan, the liberated sage who lives in Dasur, you are ever a good and pure renunciate, who remained forever like a child, who roamed like a ghost, and who lived without a trace of worldly desires. Precious gem, who obtained the sacred grace of the Satguru Ramana, adored by all. Praise to your fullness and salutations at your holy feet. From Masthan Swami, we learn the definition of a living guru. we observe that Masthan had almost 3 explosions of enlightenment. Thrice his heart opened up with some feelings of doubt. In this process that he underwent lies a lesson for us too. Never get discouraged. Self-effort and self-realization are nouns. Self-realizing is a verb because it is always happening. Masthan was an example of this. His third process of enlightenment occurred when Bhagavan asked him if he would like to follow the form or the formless way of worship. Masthan Swami chose nirguna, formless worship. Bhagavan already knew that the Spirit would come to take him, the Divine Mother. He asked him to choose worship in the form or formless, and Masthan chose the latter. Yet his ultimate liberation came from form, which means only one thing: God alone decides. We have the liberty only to make effort. The result is always in the hands of God, and it is always for our highest good.